Hello, everyone, and welcome to Edge Talk Radio. My name is Angela Zabel. That's me. Today, we're going to be talking about Beyond the Veil, NDEs, lithomancy, and psychic insight with author and psychic Gary Wimmer. And I hope I pronounced that right, of Texas. So, who am I? I have connected with spirit, working with the team in the non physical my entire life, sharing messages from a multitude of realms with people. I'm a teacher, coach, medium, radio show host, writer, retreat host, gallery reader, doing speaking engagements, offering guidance, mediumship, and intuition, online and in person, private and group sessions, classes, and the Amplified Universe monthly membership group, growing our connection to us, our world, all that is around us, and our role in it. Sharing knowledge, working with others throughout the world. And you can find me on pretty much all the social media aspects out there, but go to my website, angelazabel.com. And today, I'm going to try to get this in there. There we go. Today, we are here with Edge Magazine. It is the leading events and media resource dedicated to all aspects of holistic living, health, and wellness, and the mysteries beyond, sharing information, wisdom, and resources, committed to promoting businesses, organizations, and individuals who support our collective journey to wholeness and balance. It's currently distributed in 30 states and Canada, with over 17,000 magazines per printing, and a vibrant online magazine with over 42,000 people reached per month. Have the magazine shipped to your door. Stay up to date with the newsletter. Become a drop spot if you want to have it in your business. And check out Kelly Wagner on the Being Curious show. You can find out more information on edgemagazine.net. And today we are here with Gary Wimmer. He has been a professional psychic and spiritual advisor over 40 years and has been referred to as a medium, intuitive, healer, teacher, and clairvoyant. He offers readings using pure intuition, regular playing cards, and lithomancy, a fascinating but little known methodology, and is the author of Lithomancy, The Psychic Art of Reading Stones. I'm looking forward to getting into this one. And he's not only it's a comprehensive book on this amazingly revealing methodology. It's available on Amazon and Kindle. And he also wrote A Second in Eternity. It's a true story about the intense and enlightening near-death experience, which near-death experiences throughout this will be NDEs. He had in 1977 that revealed the unity that underlies all things and still profoundly affects him to this day. A Second to Eternity is also available on Amazon and Kindle, and you can also visit his website to find out more about him, his books, his readings, and so much more. And I've got to say, go to his website. It's garywimmer.com, and I'm going to spell that out so people can find it for those that are just listening. It's GARYWIMMER.com. So make sure to check that out. And if you need to contact him, send him an email. It's the best way to find him. So, Gary, I just want to thank you so much for being here today. I've got to ask you, how did you start into this whole metaphysical aspect? Because were you always connected to the other side? Did the near-death experience create something different? How did that work for you? And I want to thank you for being on here too.
Oh, my pleasure, sweetheart. And Angel, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm the third of seven sons. I was born in 47 November. I have two brothers born in 46 and 45, December 8th, exactly a year apart, a double and a triple
Wow.
Sagittarius.
Wow.
I'm a double Scorpio. And I grew up watching my two brothers compete and fight their whole life. God bless them. Uh, so I started developing a sense of intuition pretty young, so I didn't get caught in their maze or,
Mm.
in their military runs around the rooms and so forth. And I was raised Catholic. I was an altar boy. I was very curious about God and Jesus and the truth, and I always felt like, well, we're going to be judged by the rules, so we should know the rules. And I wanted to
Mm.
know. Now I had six brothers, like I said, and none of them were curious about this. They're all businessmen and baseball players, and I didn't play sports. I always had chemistry sets and puppet sets and magic shows, and I was a ham. Uh,
Definitely
Eventually
a
turned into
difference between you.
yeah, eventually I turned into a musician, but I started playing guitar in um, 63, 64 before the Beatles came out. Never thought I'd do it professionally, but went to college in 65 to 70 at Texas Tech, majored in electrical engineering, got out, it was all defense work. I was a, war protester. I served 2 years as a conscientious objector here in Austin, Texas at the Austin State School. And I started giving readings. I moved to Austin in 1970 after I graduated from Lubbock from Texas Tech. Like I said, working as a conscientious objector. And I started giving readings, saw a couple psychics. I told me I had a lot of natural ability. I started using just regular playing cards and traveling a lot with bands in the early 70s. Now, 1977, I quit a band. I needed some time to myself to sort things out. I was tired of traveling. Um, and this was January 31st, 1977. I felt rather strange that whole day. I had no idea
Mm.
why. Maybe it's because I was leaving the band. I was going with a lady, and I'm not sure that was going to work out because, she wanted stability and me being a traveling musician. So I had a lot of concerns on my mind. And January 31st, when I loaded my equipment back into our duplex, and my neighbors and my roommates were there and we talked, I started picking up what everybody was going to say before they'd say it, just out of clear
Oh.
blue. And this got weird. Everybody eventually split. My neighbors went back to their apartment. My roommates went to bed, and I couldn't sleep. And I was up all night with these heavy premonitions about things. I felt like I was in a web connected to everybody around me, and they were connected to somebody. And so this big pulsing web of consciousness,
Oh,
souls around the whole
interesting.
planet was vibrating. Now, I never even thought that or felt that, but I was instantly preoccupied with it. Got up in the morning, didn't go to sleep. My roommate's walking through the front door reading the paper, and I saw the headlines through his eyes about Jimmy Carter. I went, he threw the paper down, and I was just staring at it. You okay? Yeah, think so. Anyway, he went on about his day, and my other roommate went on about his day. There's three of us in a little bitty duplex, and I had just moved in, so I started unpacking a bunch of my stuff and getting these premonitions all of a sudden about when
Oh,
someone gave me this or when I was here. And sometimes I'd feel like the person was behind me. I'd turn around and they were not there. This is getting weird, so I decided to take a break, walk down to the local store, get some food, and every time I'd pass someone, I could hear what they were thinking. Boy,
oh.
that evening, my roommate came home and we talked and told him I was experiencing some weird stuff out of the clear blue. We went to a club that night, Soap Creek Saloon, which was here in Austin, Texas. And before we entered, I felt a strange premonition at a certain spot outside the door. Didn't think about it, went in. Band was pretty loud. I moved out to the front, the bar area. It was a little quieter, sat down. People would walk by, I'd feel what they were thinking. I thought, man, I need a break. All of a sudden, I'm outside the bar, standing in that spot, and people are walking through me. And wow, opened my eyes. Nope, I'm still in the bar stool. The door swung open, and these people walked through just as I'd seen them a moment ago. So, wow, I'll see if I can do that again. And I could. And my roommate
Wow.
came in from the back room, said, "What are you doing? What's happening?" I said, "I bet I can tell how these people are dressed. The next people who come through, yeah, $5." Well, I called it right twice, and he thought I had been outside. And I said, "No, I've just been sitting here. Ask all these people." Anyway, that was Monday on the 31st of January. Things started getting more and more intense over time. Over the next couple of days, I was able to pick up things all the time. What I couldn't do is turn it off. I had no
Um,
idea why all of a sudden this psychic ability had started picking up, but I was totally preoccupied with it. I had no idea what I would be normally doing if it all of a sudden didn't take over my life, but it did.
mm,
And there was no neutral. And so I was either picking up stuff, someone would say they'd call and they said, I'll be over in a while. I'd look at the clock and it would go right around to the exact minute they're going to walk through the door, and then it'd go back to normal. Whew, start
Wow.
seeing clocks and everything. Um, that night, I got real concerned. My roommate got real concerned. I started trying to explain to him what was going through. The premonitions started getting heavier. I felt this sort of protection or observance by these beings, guardian angels, something smarter and wiser than me that knew what was happening because I didn't. But I felt them kind of watching over me, protecting me. I didn't see them, couldn't, I kept hoping they'd introduce themselves because that was the one sort of area of peace and comfort and protection I had because I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't turn this off. And it got to the point of being absurd over the next day or two. And I couldn't turn it off. So I'd look at a random stranger 3 blocks away, who's leaning on a bicycle. And I'd think, tap your head toward that lady walking out the door. And he would do it. And I
Wow.
didn't know. Now, did I know that guy was going to do that and pick that up? Or did I make it happen? And then I'd try something else and it would happen. And I thought, man, I got to watch my thoughts. I can't tell if I'm creating things or witnessing them. And I couldn't tell the difference.
Wow.
This is
That
about
would be a
psych.
little scary, I would think, at that
Oh, I
point
was
too.
terrified.
Yeah.
I was at the same time, though, I felt this magnificence of power and observation that
Mm,
was I've never felt before. So it wasn't all terror. I was terrified, but highly enlightened.
yeah.
What it was is a narrow little tightrope, and I was trying to balance on it with no idea if it would break or where it was heading or why I was even here. But
Wow.
this went on and on and on, and so many incidents. I wrote a book about it. A Second Eternity explains all these incidences I went through for a solid week
Wow.
before things made sense. So after a week of this and all these incidents I went through that were profoundly terrifying and enlightening at the same time are described in this book. On February 7th, 1977, after a week of this, I was racing down Guadalupe Street here in Austin, Texas. I was crying, I was praying, I was screaming, I was terrified. I'd had it. I couldn't turn it off. I surrender. Whatever, God, what do you want? You know? And there's a bunch of people around me that very concerned. I wasn't acting like normal people do, walking down the street crying and looking up and praying. And I did not care. I couldn't take it. All of a sudden, in the height of the most fear I've ever experienced in my life, it instantly disappeared, instantly. And I felt warm. It's the middle of February
Wow.
or the 7th. And I look up and there's this huge light right above me, about 6 feet, not four,
Wow.
not 10. I looked around, none of these people who had been watching my circus, none of them seemed to acknowledge it, and I didn't care. I looked back up at this light, and then it turned into a crystal table about that thick. Not that thick, not that thick.
Wow.
And above it were the 7 white robed figures, and they had their hands on this table, and the light was coming down from the beam from their hands individually, forming this big tunnel of light that I was in. Uh, and I looked up and they said, "Do you trust us?" I said, "Man, I don't understand what's going on. I'm terrified." I've been, shh, do you trust us? And they spoke in one low, I always say it's like a James Earl Jones voice, a deep,
No.
reassuring, comforting, uh, and they knew everything about me. They knew exactly what I was going through. That's why every time I tried to say, "Well, I'm not," shh, we know. We know. You trust us. Well, pretty soon I said, yeah. And this all happened so quick.
Right.
Long story short, within a second or two, I was hit head on by a speeding car. There was traffic zooming by. All of a sudden, I'm seeing my body tumble over the car, hit the bumper, hit the windshield.
Wow.
All of a sudden, the whole city of Austin turned into a little dot, and I'm expanding
Wow.
outward in all directions. And that was the strangest sensation. My body's on Guadalupe Street in Austin, Texas, but my soul, subconscious psyche is going out in all directions,
Oh.
which I instantly realized That's how souls leave the body.
Mm.
And at the time of birth, the souls collapse from all edges of the universe right down to the mom and womb at birth. That's how it works. I'd never thought about that, but it was undeniably true instantaneously as soon as I left my body. And all the planets and galaxies are going within me because I'm expanding. And I had no idea who I was pretty soon. I didn't know Austin, didn't know me, didn't even know about this car accident. All I knew is this beautiful, enlightening, empowering, comforting sensation I was going through. I mean, it was heaven. I never
Wow.
felt so good in my life, except how I started feeling even better. And eventually I came out of this universe and it looked like one of billions of universes, a star studded sky. It seemed to wind itself up into a big tunnel of light. That's a good description. People have used it.
Wow.
And I felt like I was being pushed through, ushered through, accelerated through this tunnel of light, silver white clouds spinning around. Very comforting, very,
Yeah.
very beautiful, very, but no awareness of me. Just pure sensation. And I came out of this tunnel of light and into this infinite blue void. And it was the
Mm.
mind of God. And it was everything. It was infinite possibilities with no limitation, period. And there was
Wow.
two possibilities. Either infinite mind exists, which it does, and infinite possibilities exist, or it wouldn't exist and nothing would exist. That was the most startling revelation is wow, here's infinite mind and it's the source of everything. And it's almost like I said, it was either here in infinite possibilities or it wasn't. And guess what? It is. And it's
Wow.
completely unbiased. And as I'm feeling at one with this, I'm not watching, I'm at one with it. I'm one of these particles of infinite creation. And then I feel this pull away from it, like I'm observing it instead of being at one with it. And I
Mm.
went back through this tunnel of light. And I had no idea where I was going to. I had no idea where I came from. I just knew that where I just was at was beautiful. And I was a little apprehensive, what's going on? Where am I going now?
Right.
I went back through the tunnel of light, collapsed back into this universe, came closer to this galaxy and this solar system. And every time I got closer, I felt a little affiliation with it, especially when I came near Earth. It's like maybe I have some affiliation on this planet. And right before I came back into my body, I saw three series of pictures, very distinct.
Interesting.
One of them was about what we're going through now. I saw COVID-19. I saw all these changes. I saw, the leveling of the raising of sea levels, the changing of geography, all this extremes that you and me and the whole planet and every society is going through.
Yeah.
But it made sense. I could see that this was leading towards the next series of pictures, which was life in the future in the age of Aquarius when we've got rid of all this crap we're going through, or at least a lot of it.
Yeah.
And that's why we're going through it, so we can see the holes in the boat, so we can get the duct tape and fix the dang boat. Because that ain't gonna
That's
fix
true.
itself.
No, we're the ones that need to fix it.
We're the ones who got to fix it. So I saw the first series of pictures with the chaos that we're going through, and this is another 20, 50, 100 years. It's not a particular date.
Right.
It's a transformation of human consciousness over time. And that's why we're seeing all this intensity and extremes, because life's trying to show us, you know, you want to come out ahead, smarter, wiser, or you want to, play stupid and not do anything and get blown away.
Right.
So then the third series of pictures were about a musician and a psychic, and I had no idea who this was, but I felt like maybe I know this person. And then I saw my body in the street and the car all broken up and people screaming and
Oh,
hollering. And I went, that's me. And I jumped back into my body. And there's this red haired driver, long red hair, is hanging all over my face. He's screaming, he's terrified. Man, I'm trying to stop. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I just been to the most beautiful spot in all of creation and back. And man, this little car accident was nothing. It was insignificant. Of course,
wow.
wasn't everybody who witnessed it. So I jumped to my feet. I didn't feel any pain. I didn't get a scratch. The car's all totaled. People are screaming and hollering. I thought, man, I don't understand this. Too heavy. I'm going home. So I started acting like I was just going to walk home. And then people said, oh, man, wait, the cops. Just explain it to them. Police are. I hear the sirens coming. And I thought, okay, I'll just sit around and explain it to them. Now, good luck. Because when the cops came and the ambulance came and the police came, they're looking all around for a bloody body instantly. And hey, it's me. I'm not hurt. They're all asking me how I'm not hurt. I tried to explain what just happened, and that did not make a damn bit of sense. you know?
I would imagine not, especially in 1977.
Oh, in 1977, man, me being hit head on by a speeding car, not even feeling it, not just dismissing it like it didn't exist. Because in my opinion, it didn't. I was just, well, they didn't see what I went through, of course, and so they were just freaking out. And I kept saying, "Can I just go home?" No, 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 can't. It took me the ambulance, took me to the emergency room, X-rayed me, checked me out, wasn't hurt, one, put one little Band-Aid on my head, I think, to make it look like they did something. But I wasn't hurt at all. And no, they couldn't understand it. And every time I tried to explain to them, like the cops and the ambulance and the police on the scene, that didn't make any sense. So I said, I think I'll just shut up. I knew I was going to have to talk to a lot of people about this. So anyway, they rolled me over to the corner of the emergency room. I wasn't hurt. They sent a guy in to talk to me, and immediately I knew his name, and he was a psychiatrist, and about his family and his education and everything. I couldn't turn
Wow.
it off. It was still very prominent in my mind. I just could pick up anything. And when I explained to him what I felt before he even introduced himself, it blew him away. Have you ever been a patient of mine? No, no, no. How'd you know this? I said, man, right now, doc, I know everything. I just can't turn it off. I'm ready to kind of, come down. And he said, yeah, well, we can't just let you go free. Uh, because of what you've been through and what you're saying, we're going to have to commit you to a psychiatric hospital. Do you understand? I said very clearly, I don't care. You can put me anywhere. I can't do anything. I mean, what the hell you got me? They took me to jail, put me in jail until they could get an order of protective custody, which took two
Uh,
days, had to get signed by a judge and my family. So they threw me in jail. And while I'm in jail, all the other jailers are, who are you? What do you do? I said, oh, I just jumped across space and time and saw infinite consciousness. And well, that hit a bunch of jailers like, who the hell are you, buddy? What
and what are you doing in the jail?
are you doing in jail? I said, well, I don't know. They booked me on public lunacy and assault because the driver kept, man, you're right. I tried to calm him down and he backed up and he tripped over himself
Uh,
and he claimed I pushed him backwards. I didn't. I reached down to try to help him. Some I can't remember. He got up, I helped him up, and I went to hug him like Jesus and gave him a little kiss on the cheek. That freaked him out. In fact, when he kept hassling me, man, sit down. I just leave me alone. I'll rape you. Now, why I chose those words, I have no idea, but I figured they'd push him away a little bit, and they did. And then he tripped.
well, they worked.
It worked. It made trip backwards, and then I tried to hug him and kiss him. That freaked him out more. So this guy, the driver, was just whoa. He didn't want nothing to do with me, and I can understand. Hell, he just hit me
Right.
with his car. He's afraid he's going to get charged for, Anyway,
Probably thought he was going to get charged. We thought you probably wouldn't have survived it.
well,
And
he filed charges on me. He and his lawyer filed charges on me for assault. Uh,
Mm.
and because I pushed him backwards, he claimed I didn't. I wouldn't push anybody, man. I barely understand what was going on. So they put me in jail and held me there for 2 days, and I kept talking to all well, for a while, I was talking to all the other inmates about their issues until a jailer came and put his face up to my little bars and said, you shut up. You're not a lawyer. You can't tell these people legally. I'll put you in solitary confinement. So I shut up, and which was a relief because I couldn't turn it off. And people asked something, it
Right.
was just apparent to me instantaneously, no matter what the damn question was or curiosity, the answer. Again, what I couldn't do is turn it off. So
That's
they,
the most difficult, I would think, to be able to have it open all the
oh
time.
man, I was so open to anything. Like I said, I was extremely empowered and still shining from this trip to Infinite Mind and back. Nothing they could do or say would change that, But I knew that this is going to be a zoo. Explain this to everybody, and it was. And they committed me to a psychiatric hospital in Shoal Creek here in Austin, Texas. Um, Pretty expensive private hospital. Everybody loved me. They called me Mr. Smiles. I was entertaining all the kids and playing music for them and stuff. And after 10 days, they take you before a board of psychiatrists and people on your staff, on your floor, to see if they have to redo another 10-day commitment.
Yeah.
Because they did it, I got a mandatory commitment because they didn't know what to do with me. And I would have done the same thing. I wouldn't have believed me, you
Right.
know. Of course not. Uh, so I easily understood. But when I told these psychiatrists that, look, I ain't changing my story. Here's what happened. I'll repeat it. You guys ought to look into this. You're the psychiatrist. You ought to be asking me about this instead of me having to prove to y'all that I'm sane enough to go home and take care of myself and cook. I mean, come on. So they let me out. And about April Fool's Day, a couple months later, I had another rebout. My roommates knew that they could see now that, oh, Gary's going off again. So my mom came April 1st, 1977 at my door. What are you doing here, Mom? Well, she said, yeah, your roommates called me and took me to Brackenridge Hospital and got a nurse to sign a commitment. So they put me in for another 10-day commitment. But this time I went to the Austin State Hospital, which was 70 guys in a big warehouse on bunk beds. It was certainly no privacy there, but
No.
I was in heaven. I was talking to everybody and empowering everybody. Same thing at the end of the 10 days. I went before a board there, a little clumsier board, a little less organized. And they want me out. They got too many people, man. You could say, hey, I'm okay. And okay, I'm not sure, but, I had no problem getting out of there. They needed the floor space.
Right.
Now, I kept wondering about my experience. I was no doubt about what I went through, but what I could not understand for the life of me was why me? What did I possibly do to deserve a trip to heaven and back? I had no idea anybody could go there. I had no idea anybody could be hit head on by a speeding car, not get a scratch, not even feel it. Which reminds me, right after that incident, I instantly started believing in miracles. Instantly. It's like, wow, I just went through a miracle. They happen. 8 months later, I'm sitting on my porch playing guitar sometime in the fall of 77. Once again, wondering why this happened to me. And finally, I felt the monitors around me, these guardian angels.
Yeah.
And they seemed to be out in the front yard somewhere, and they shot this message into my brain. And basically, they read it the same time I saw it, like screen credits at the end of a movie. They said, you got this experience because you always wanted to know. You're always asking. You're an altar boy. You studied psychic ability. You read Edgar Casey. You wanted to know the truth, and so you could handle it. As Jack Nicholson might say, you can handle the truth, and I could. And they took me there and brought me back, and they said that's why you had the car accident, the cops and police, because you had to be grounded. And I felt that immediately when all these cops and ambulance and police I'm going through. I felt these are all grounding agents.
Yeah.
They're having to keep me back on the cosmos. I mean, the planet, so I wouldn't fly back out to the cosmos again because it was pretty beautiful there, but my time was not there. It was later. It obviously ain't now.
Not now.
Maybe
Not yet.
tomorrow. I don't know. As I
That
tell people, if life kills you, you're in heaven, no problem. And if you're still here, you can still grow and learn. And having gone through so much depression and anxiety and fear and doubt, going through that enlightening experience empowered me to know that, okay, we can't change our situation. I was a musician my whole life, had a crappy voice. That wasn't going to change. What I did learn to do is play piano and be an entertainer. I taught myself piano in 1980 to 84, 12 hours a day,
Well,
just to have two instruments because I didn't have a good voice. And by 1984 and 5, I talked my way into some piano bars, and they like me because I'm a good entertainer. I'm not a good singer, any good player, but And from there on, I became a soloist. So all the
Interesting.
depression I went through in the 70s about being an expendable musician, how do I make a living in this highly competitive business? I don't have the hair, the voice, the contacts, the writing ability. I mean, I listened to music my whole life. I know it takes something pretty unique to do. So even if you're Tiny Tim, it was unique, But
Right, right.
uh, so I realized I'd be a working musician my whole life, and that was okay for me because I'd been to heaven and back. I saw Infinite Mind, and in 1980, I met a lady who did readings uh, by Lithomancy, this method named Alice Warrell. I'd never seen this method, but after she gave me a reading, I thought, man, I like this. Can you teach me? And she said, well, I'm going to have a class in a week or two. And I signed up for it. And pouring rain the night of the class, only her and I are there. Nobody else showed up. She showed me in about 15 minutes, 10 minutes, how she did a reading for herself. And then we got to go. It's raining too much. So we went home. I got a 10-minute lesson. Next day, I got 16 stones because that's how the system's based. 10 of them are planet stones: Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. And I marked them so I could remember them. And then
Nice.
there's love, life, luck, commitment, timing, and place. 6 personal stones, 10 astrology stones. I marked them so I could remember. By the second or third day, I could remember them. But this was a day or two after the course, and I had friends come over. I was living by myself then, practicing piano all the time. And friends would drop by, and every time a friend would drop by, I'd do a reading for them. I was just going to practice right there, right then. Um,
Yeah.
and this is in 1980, and I've been doing this for, 45 years. I actually started giving readings in the early 70s with just regular playing cards. And here's the thing about reading symbolism: you can read anything.
I was just going to
Uh,
ask you.
oh, yeah. I got a book somewhere up here called Basic Psychic Sciences. It's, from 1969 or 70 or 71 or something. Uh, And it had one little section on there about how to read playing cards. Close enough for me. Here's what the suits mean. Here's what the numbers mean. Because if that's your system and you adapt it, Joe can have a completely different system and
Right.
he can interpret his way. So everybody's method of interpreting anything, much less signs and information from higher mind and symbolism, um, everybody's unique. When I was in Europe 93 to 2000. And a lot of musicians and other people knew that I gave readings, people in the club, waitresses. And so I'd sometimes give readings to people and wouldn't always have my stones with me. They maybe at my girlfriend's place or another apartment I was staying at. Kind of hopped around depending on where I was playing.
Right.
So I'd have people just set stuff on a table, an ashtray, an earring, a glass of tea, or whatever. I'd go make some coffee, come back in 2 minutes, and I would just read around the table the stuff they set out in any order. And I know that's possible because I went through a period in 77 where I could read anything. And I
How
knew,
did how
go
did you
ahead.
go from because you were open to everything at that point. What happened in there that you started being able to control it a little more? I'm assuming at this point you have some control over
Oh,
giving yourself
definitely,
some
definitely,
space.
definitely.
So what happened in there to start giving you the control over instead of being open to everything to start being able to go, okay, I can make this mine and I don't have to be going,
It took me a while. It
yeah.
After these incredible experiences in 77, both in February and in April, uh, excuse me, it
That's
kind of took me a while to come down and put it in perspective. It didn't just cut off instantly, uh, but I could feel it kind of resolving. I wasn't picking up stuff all the time. I was at the hospital. I was at jail. I was in a psychiatric hospital to some degree. But like in the first, in when they put me in Shoal Creek, they were giving me lithium carbonate. It's
mm,
a chemical to help schizophrenics, basically.
yeah.
And it took about 5 or 6 days for it to have an effect. Uh, when I went to the Austin State Hospital, they gave me Thorazine, huh, and they gave me a handful of it. And I was so amped up, it took 4 or 5 days for me to sleep there. So, yeah, the
Wow.
intensity of what I went through was so profound, but I wouldn't trade you for the world. I
Right.
don't need to go through it again, but if I have to see and experience what I was so fortunate to see and experience, I'd sign up right now, but I don't need another trip. You know? It's not
One
that it
trip
ain't
is good.
beautiful. It's that I don't need. Now I need to, as you were saying, bring myself back into the real world, practical world. Uh, and once I learned lithomancy, I started giving readings in the early '80s, and to this day I do. Uh, and so I wrote this book, A Second Eternity, started in Europe in the '90s, late '90s, published it about 10 years ago. I think this one probably about 10 years ago, too, give or take. Lithomancy, The Psychic Art of Reading Stones, is a book on the technique of
Yeah.
reading patterns of stones. And like I said, you can use the ideas behind reading symbolism
Right.
for anything. You can read tea leaves, trees, sounds. But in order to do that, you have to, first of all, kind of believe it's possible. Just like if you're going to hit a home run, you got to believe it's possible. You probably ain't going to knock it out of the park on pure beginner's luck. And if you
Right.
do, can you repeat it? You know?
True, true. But you've been repeating quite a bit. I mean, you've been doing this for over 40 years now. And what has something shifted though? Because you went from the near death experience, which so I have a team on the other side, and they think it's funny that you had the accident, but you had nothing really wrong with you because it was showing everyone around you. Because you may have been committed at that time, because at that time, a lot of people with any of these, with anything where you're connecting to something like that, they were committing people for that quite readily.
Right.
And as you were doing that, they just want you to know that there were many people around you that maybe had thought you were crazy in the moment, but it was actually opening those people up. So a lot of
Oh,
those people got
absolutely.
opened up with you being there, with that experience you had. So it's so helpful to so many others.
Unknowingly, I affected the cops, the police, the
Yes.
ambulance, the psychiatrist, uh, both psychiatric hospitals, a lot of people while I was there. Uh, I wasn't trying to affect them. I was just, this happened and you're asking why, and I'm having to deal with it. So here's what's coming out. You know?
And have you, since you've had that experience, has it been where you look at life completely different? Do things bother you so much? Did
I'm
it help
still
you
human and
unwind?
I still go through cycles. Uh, we'll always go through cycles, but
Right.
whether it's fear or doubt or whatever, we're going to go through ups and downs.
Yeah.
But the question is, are we overall evolving, overall flatlining, or overall descending? We're still going to have variations and cycles. And if we didn't have variations and cycles, we would not have life,
We
period.
wouldn't be here. We'd be on the other
We
side.
wouldn't be here.
We came here for all those fun experiences. Some of yours.
We did. We, I read a lot of, I'm an electrical engineer. I don't follow the math in quantum physics, but I follow the ideas, the concepts.
Yes.
And there's a lot of quantum physics physicists now that are starting to consider, which I think is a fact, the interface between the non-physical and the physical is the
Yes.
smallest of the quantum level. And I saw that when I was going through my near-death experience. Wow, it's the most small. That's how the spiritual becomes physical, you know. Uh, Beautiful process. And I realized that even those quantum physicists call the expansion of the universe and galaxies here and not here, they call it due to random quantum fluctuations at the
Okay.
beginning
Yeah.
of the Big Bang. It ain't random. It's
It's
infinite
not
mind creating a universe instead of non-universe. I mean, if antimatter and matter would have been a little bit off, it wouldn't be nothing. Or,
right.
or electrons and protons wouldn't form atoms. Everything was perfectly tuned, and it ain't an accident. And God didn't sit there with a calculator and figure it out. He just said, "Let there be." Bam. That's the power of creativity.
And that's the
Infinite.
power so many of us hold now and are starting to realize. And that's what you have started to, working more of that creation ability and you've done the two books and working with other people. Has you've also done with the piano? You're still playing piano?
I play piano a little bit. Yeah, I've got neuropathy. It's hard for me to play guitar anymore. I was an excellent guitar player, but my fingers are a little bit. Actually, I've got from my neck down to my toes. I'm tingling all the time from all sorts of back and neck issues. But I'm the happiest person on the planet because I get to decide that, and I just put it into context. In fact, about 8 years ago, I was on pain medication, and I went up to my brother's memorial. He passed away about 8 years ago, and came back to get my drugs refilled, and they wouldn't refill them. They said, "You got a positive for cocaine." I don't do cocaine. I didn't know if I come on. It was a complete fluke. I came back and checked out all the potential what do you call false positives,
Great.
and then I felt my mom go, sorry, we put a little trick on you. Just get off that pain medication. And I did. And this was 8 years ago. I was taking Celebrex and all. I don't take any of it anymore. And I feel better.
Wow.
I do it by my mind. I do it by my spirit. I do by gratitude, you know, thanking God and the universe for starting with I don't live in Ukraine down the list. I mean, how grateful can one be for the fact that you're not off, you're not as bad off as some people are, some situations. I don't know how people survive some of these situations, but they have a different experience, a different goal. Sometimes they get killed back in heaven. Sometimes they're still here, a chance to learn and grow again. A win, win, win. You got to be.
Absolutely. And that's the one thing is there's so much growth going on both sides. They call it the veil. I look at it as it's all right beside us. We're just recognizing and realizing it's there now. And
Mm-hmm.
knowing that we're bringing those two sides per se together is to me is amazing. And it's something I feel so excited to be here for, to see this
Mm-hmm.
culmination of both sides coming together and creating this new universe together. And when you were seeing, I admire the fact that you were able to see it in that light years ago and being able to see how we're all working together and how one of the things is I keep hearing you connected and were able to you were wondering am I making that person do it or am I
Mm-hmm.
just knowing they're going to do it, but I keep hearing from my team they were trying to show you that by working together you could at that moment using who you are to help create that together that you actually were the one that okay, my team is backing me up. So one of the things they want to talk about just real quick is like so many people say, well, I've seen a cardinal or I've seen this bird or this animal and it makes me reminds me of my loved one. And a lot of what they've been telling me is you're working in conjunction. So your loved one is working in conjunction with that animal and they're agreeing together to bring the message to you.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying when you were doing that, where you were saying, hey, scratch your ear or do something with the other person, you were working in conjunction the same way they do with those on the other side. So they're just saying they wanted you to know that you were working in conjunction just as they do from the other side. And it was a collaboration between the both of you.
I agree. And it was harmless and it was a verification process.
Right.
In fact, when I was going through the week of psychic escalation before the near death experience, I kept feeling these terms like verification.
Oh,
I had to
yes.
constantly get verification that I was still here, you know,
Yeah.
still attached to this
Understandable.
planet. And read the signs. I kept feeling my guides say, read the signs, keep your eye on the light, look for verification. Simple little methods, techniques to keep yourself balanced. Just like if you got in a tightrope, you use that simple little bar, whatever they call it, the stick,
Yeah. I don't know.
to stay
I'm not
balanced. I don't know what they call it.
I don't know what they call it either, but I know what you're saying. And it's keeping in balance. And
Mm-hmm.
that's, I mean, you came from having a time where you are very out of balance, more connected to the other side than being here in the physical. I mean, you were here in the physical, but out of balance, and that means Was it mainly, did you feel a time where you felt like, okay, I'm back in balance. I can handle both sides. It's more of something you can
Yeah, but
control.
it wasn't a specific date. It was a transition over time from, uh, like I said, April '77 was my last bout that caused me um, to be in a psychiatric hospital, and I don't blame them. I wouldn't have known
Right.
what to do with me, my roommates, my family, my friend. I wasn't harmful,
Right.
but when you're totally preoccupied with, wow, the phone's going to ring in 2 minutes, it's Joe, and Joe calls in 2 minutes, it freaks everybody out, including
Yeah.
me.
Oh, absolutely.
I said, can I turn this off? What would I normally be doing? So it kind of diminished over time, not instantly.
Yeah.
Even up to a month or two later, I could still feel a lot of things. And I do now, but it's not on TV, full blast, stereo, IMAX, 365,
Right.
24/7. It's selective. That's why when I read Stones, I can tune in. I let the Stones and my guides tell me, information. Nobody can tell you everything. And no matter
Right.
what I say about anybody to anything, they got free will. They can go move to Alaska tomorrow if they want to. Now, would I have
Ex-
seen that? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. But free will is the number one. And
And
I
what do you,
used mine to grow, evolve, to become sane, to become balanced, to seek knowledge, to seek help, to seek truth.
yeah.
Um, and our guides will help us, but we have to ask them, period.
Yes. Yes.
I have to
And
ask.
what do you say to people, or what's your thought on when people say, well, if you're looking at the future, or you get intuitive thoughts, or you do psychic readings and things like that, and you're seeing something, I've had people who are like, well, is that set in stone? Is that going to happen? Or do I have the free will choice to change that? Is that something that's in my possibility? But now that I know it, I can decide to change paths if I want. What is your thought on that?
All right, like the shelves behind you. If they were a table, bam, and you got a pool ball and you bump it, when it reaches the end of the table, it's going to fall off
Yeah.
unless you put your hand there and stop it and move it. So, yeah, that's free will. We can stop it. If you're 300 yards away and it's 1 inch from the table, no matter what you do, you ain't going to stop it. You can't get there that quick. So, there's things we can
Right.
do and things we can't. We all have limitations. Uh, Welcome to life, but it's not about our limitations, really. It's about our strengths. It's about our breakthroughs. It's about how we conceptualize things, how we believe. Because if you believe and you have faith and you ask your guides, you're going to get more knowledge and good luck and fortune and expansion than if you do none of those. Just
Yes.
like you're going to become a better golfer if you take a club out and swing at the ball than if you don't. Period. It's technique. It's
The
choice. It's decision.
practice. I love
And
that.
there's no limit to how much you can grow spiritually and psychically and mentally. There's a limit to how far you can hit that golf ball.
For me, not very far.
Yeah, me neither. I could knock it off the tee pretty easily.
Well, I've got it. I'm sure people will be asking, like the lithomancy. When you were doing that and when you created the book, is it kind of going through the book, helping people to actually, like, is there ways for them to lay out the stones or way
Oh
to
yeah,
just
yeah. The
understand the
book's got,
stones?
well, this one's kind of all glued together so it stands straight. The book's got all kinds of examples. I've seen if I had another one in here. Examples, pictures, graphs,
God.
explanations. The only problem I had to do is I couldn't put it in color because on a self-published book you can't put in inserts. It's either the whole book's in color or none. And
Oh,
it's like $15 in black and white. If it had been colored, it'd have been 40, $50.
right.
But if people buy the book, there's a link in there that goes to my website that shows the same pictures in color. So you can
Per,
actually see the color pictures, which look better. But I just
right.
couldn't put them in the book for a reasonable expense. Like I said, no inserts. The whole book's one is paper or photo paper, not halfway.
Right, right. And as you've been doing that, when you do, because you do readings now yet, and people have to contact you via email, correct?
That's the best. My phone always kind of weird.
Yeah, and for phones nowadays, sometimes they're in, sometimes they're not. It is what it is. But when somebody contacts you for a reading, how does that work then? Do they have to give you information about something, or are they
No, all
looking
I
for a
need to do is
specific?
set up a time. If they email me, I email them my schedule and say, give me, 3 dates. I'll try to choose the first one. I only do readings 1 to 6 p.m. I'm 78. I don't get up at 9 o'clock in the morning anymore.
No reason to do that.
Right. Uh, and so if people email me, I'll email back my schedule and a way they can pay on PayPal or I can take a credit card. I record every reading
Okay.
and give people a link to go download the recording after the session, and that helps a lot. And Windows 11, thank you, Windows. Changed the way the dang computers work, and I can't just plug in a USB mic and record it on Audacity anymore. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I understand. The upgrades are
I'm
crazy.
so frustrated. Windows 11, the basic thing, you can't plug a mic in there and record me talking and the landline saying it'll cut the landline out.
Wow,
It'll
I
be,
didn't know it
it,
did that.
yeah, it's just blow. Why waste all the time cutting the landline out? We can just leave it alone and let us record. But so much for Windows 11. I'm through.
I mean, you've been doing readings with all different ways. You do just psychic readings, you do what other types, and then you do the lithomancy. And how does that work? Does somebody like send you a question? Do you just start out? Do people
Well, the
ask you
way
a
I start
question?
out I like to just kind of dive in
Yeah,
because people can spend 15 minutes explaining everything in their life up to that moment, and I'd rather don't even go there. I charge these 16 stones up in my hand, and I do them over the phone because I'm disabled and I don't do them in person anymore. Little house, there's three adults here, and just no place.
right,
Uh, Besides that, when I do them on phone, it's real easy. I can call people exactly 3 o'clock. And
right.
when I used to do them in person, people come over about 3:30 and go, "Wow, traffic!" I know it's awesome. Should have left an hour early. So
It's
can't do it
easier.
anymore in person. It really screws up my schedule. You can't get anywhere in time. But when people call, or when I call them at a particular time, I'll call you 2 o'clock Saturday. I charge the stones up. I always, before I even call a person, get a deck of cards because I read regular playing cards,
Mm,
and I fan through them just to make sure my guides are with me. And I'll try to get some information on the person I'm about to talk to. Uh, and then once I get all that, I put my cards down and I call them and I hold the stones, charge them up, have them say drop. I drop them and I read
oh,
them from the center to 12 o'clock and then around like for 12 weeks. Sometimes beyond, if they lay outside, it can be longer term or beyond the environment or both. And I
right.
just look at the stones the way they point and touch. If there's a time or two, I'll crack a stone or lose a stone, and I'll put a new one in, and that'll work fine too. But they all have some sort of characteristics that I pay attention to. Well, like for example, Saturn, where's it right here? If you look at it, it's got a side or like a real block, and that's what Saturn can do: be a block, be a something you got to work
Yeah.
over. Uh, so I see symbolism in all. Mars, where is it? There's Mars. It's very pointed. It's got a direction. So a lot of the way stones point, touch each other, and I don't overthink it. I look at the pattern and let my guides help me interpret it. My intuition, who does what, which guide when, how much intuition, how much I don't know. It works. You know, it's like I'm not going to worry about what percentage of ethanol is in my gasoline. I'm going to put it in a car and drive.
No, you don't
Right?
try to figure it out. You just do
Don't
it.
try to figure it out. Just go with it. If it works, let it go. But I
That's
know
the
how it works because it's intuition and it's asking my guides. If I didn't ask my guides to help me, I wouldn't be that effective. And I encourage people all the time to meditate, ask your guides, believe. You have no idea how much power you can be connected to through infinite mind, through your portal to your higher mind, your guides. Uh, it's unlimited. What's limited is what we can do here in physical life, how long we'll live, how much pasta you can eat, how far you can walk. all kinds of limitations. But spiritually, mentally, psychically, none. And that's why I encourage people to explore in that area, because the more you grow in that area, the more you get better practical results. And that's a win win for you and me and the whole planet, period. Fact.
Absolutely. And then the trust. I mean, you had a lot different experience with trust than most people do, where they were
Mm-hmm.
asking if you were going to trust them or not, or do you trust them? So I just want to let people know most people don't have that type of experience.
Oh, absolutely. That's true.
And because some people would be like, well, man, I don't want to, be able to have this connection and it has to be that harsh, let's say, or that, and it wasn't harsh for you. I mean, it was a beautiful experience, but some people might be like, wow, that's a bit much.
Well, it kind of shakes up your foundation, because it's same thing. If you all of a sudden are transported to China, you probably don't speak a word of Chinese. Uh, but if you're going to survive, you'll figure out how to say food, please. We learn through our desire to survive, desire to grow
Mhm.
spiritually, mentally, psychically. But it is a choice, because you can go to China and think, I'm going to just and starve to death because I shouldn't be here. Well, that's a choice too. It's a choice to always expand your consciousness regardless of the situation, because that's why we're going through a situation. There ain't no accidents, there ain't no coincidences. Everything that manifests in life, everything manifests by some form of cause and effect. Something made
Yeah.
it happen, period. You know, you don't end up going to a movie by accident. You bought a ticket, you drove to the theater. Da da. You know.
That's true.
So be
And
proactive. Be proactive. That's my thought.
like I mean, the world is a little crazy right now. There's a lot going
Absolutely.
on. And when you saw these pictures, do you feel as though I've talked to a lot of people and they're like, I don't know if there's any hope. What's your thought on the hope for us going forward?
Oh, we're going to survive. We're going to learn. We're going to grow. We're just going through a big world transformation, because we need to upgrade all our systems and
Yes.
ourselves. And you don't upgrade your systems automatically. Like I mentioned, your car may need the oil change, but it ain't going to drive itself to the shop. We got to be proactive and change it. We got to be proactive and upgrade. And so the whole world is shaking us up in this period of extremes, trying to indicate to you, me, and everybody, individually and collectively,
Yeah.
what we need to do, what we need to focus on. But individually and collectively, we get to decide whether to heed the call, participate, grow, evolve, make it a better world, or ignore it and do none of the above. Choice, choice, choice. I can't underscore the power of choice decisions, because that's how we get from A to B to C to D. Period.
It's true. And it's knowing we always have the choice. We always have the choice.
More than we realize. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because we always have a choice and we're all choosing. And to recognize, I'm just hearing my team coming in and they're saying to recognize that some people will choose to stay, they're just going like
Oh
this,
yeah.
to
Oh
just
yeah.
stay small, and others are going to choose to expand, but it's your choice what you do.
It is your choice. There's only one eventual place to go back to. It's the place we came from. It's infinite mind. Now you may take 50 train trips here in different lifetimes, or 10,000. It doesn't matter. There's only one place we came from. There's only one place to get back to. Everything else is sort of a education, an opportunity to learn about
Mm,
ourselves, about others. And that's why we're alive. We came here to
yeah.
learn, to grow and evolve. Um, and if we hop on board that train, we reduce the friction. We grow better. We evolve more. It's a win-win-win. When we choose not to ask the right questions, not to grow, when we get feelings in life of, wow, this is slapping me in the face, I think it wants me to upgrade, and we don't pay attention, guess what? We get slapped in the face more. Ta-da!
That is true. You can make this journey harder or easier,
That's
depending
right.
what you
One way or
listen.
another, we're gonna learn, and because we came here to do that, and
Yeah,
the universe doesn't care if we take one lifetime or 10,000. We do. We care, and
yes.
we should.
Yeah. And I think more and more people are understanding we are here to learn. And it doesn't mean you have to look at anything as bad. And, that when you mentioned about you being put in the mental institution, that's one of the reasons I didn't say anything when I was younger, is because we had family friends that when they were seeing things, hearing voices, and they were committed.
Oh yeah.
And I watched it and I'm like, I'm not saying a word.
Well, I wouldn't have known what to do with me. I have to admit.
Right. You
You
had it
know.
very, very different. I mean, it was so profound for you and so
Oh
almost overwhelming, really.
yeah, there was a lot of witnesses to my NDE. It's a fact. Not to actually what I went through, but before and after. You know.
Yeah.
Uh, and most people have them. Instantaneously or over a certain period or in hospitals. So mine just came out of the clear blue and I went through, but I liked it because it showed me how to read the signs. I went
No.
through a week of escalating psychic ability. And once I tapered off, which took me a while, I realized, wow, I just got an education. I kind of knew it at the time, but at the time, while I was getting the education, I just wanted to, when's break?
When spring break. You got the
Yeah,
college
right.
education without the break.
We get it. We get to go to the bathroom and get a cup of water once in a while, right? I mean, nonstop education, but everybody has a different way of learning, of
Yes.
phasing, of timing, of how we relate to our guides. But everybody has guides, and more than we
Yes.
even realized. And you don't have to know their name. And they hear us all the time. You don't have to worry about it. They hearing us. They do. What we have to develop is a technique of hearing them
Mm,
because they don't call us on the phone. They ain't going to text. They'll answer us in signs, in symbolism, in feelings because they don't want to manifest a body to go whisper in your ear
yeah.
or text you. I mean, too much of a hassle.
Yeah.
Just come through the subconscious. And besides that our subconscious are internal aspects of thought and so forth are unlimited.
Yes.
There's nothing we can't tap into. But you know, if you practice golf long enough, you'll probably have a better chance of hitting a hole in one than you will the first day you go to a golf course. You're probably going to hit
Yes.
a hole. Man, I didn't hit the ball.
Might take
Practice.
me 1,000 days, but
That's right. Practice, practice, practice.
and that's the thing. And with you understanding that you to connect and everyone has guides. And I like when you said you don't have to know their name because that's one of the things for me, they started coming through so quick and so many. And I'm like, it was hard to keep up with who they were. And I'm like, do you guys really care? And they're like, we don't care about our names. Only you do. And I'm like, okay, then I'm gonna forget about it.
That's when I saw the monitors in 1977 above me saying, "Do you trust us?" They were white robed, grayish white robes, but I couldn't see any faces. They were kind of like a grayish, like a
Mm,
raster on TV, kind of black and white, as
nice.
if to say, our looks, our appearance is not what's important.
Yeah.
Don't even try to get anything out of our faces because that's not. We're here. We got our hands down. We're shooting you the light. We're giving you an opportunity to go to Infinite Mind with us. Do you trust us? Oh, I'm so glad I said yes.
You got to experience just that beautiful spot of understanding what it is like on the other side, but then being
Mm-hmm.
able to come back here and this is a pretty amazing planet and a lot to learn on it. And that's it's so, for me, I feel it's such a privilege to be on this planet, experience even all the chaos that's going
Oh
on
yeah.
right now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If we, in fact, Infinite Mind, I always think kind of got bored being Infinite Mind and thought, hell, I think I'll be everything. Every atom, every molecule, every thought, every universe, every possible manifestation. And guess what? It is. Because
Yeah.
even things every manifestation is in essence a thought in the infinite mind of God, of the infinite soul, of infinite source. To us, it's real, it's physical, but it all comes from infinite mind looking at itself, and we're part of that vision too. You have your vision, I have mine, but you know, right now there's 8 billion people on this planet. God has 16 billion eyes. Look at it that
True.
way.
And everyone's seeing something different. Everyone's
Amen.
experiencing something different. And why shouldn't we? And that's, with what you're offering with people being able to get your book, The Second in Eternity, and then the Lithomancy, to be able to try different things, to have a different experience, to even though we aren't having the experience you had, but by reading about your experience, because we are all one, we are being part of that experience and
Mm-hmm.
understanding it and expanding ourselves. So what you've been doing is so very expansive for so many people. I encourage people, like, you want to get the rest of the story? Go ahead and read it because it's
You'll love the book. The book's I get a lot of positive comments on it. Very well written. Well, I didn't have to go look for the idea. I had to cut stuff out instead of figure out what am I going to write about. It was so much to write about. It just ran off the pages. And I had to have my it edited a couple times. Actually, my partner, my lady's a great editor. She edited and did a good job. It's got a couple typos in it still, but close enough for rock and roll. I mean, come on. you
makes us
know?
human. I always say it makes us human. For if we're perfect every day, are we
Right,
really human? Are
right.
we learning anything? Oh, well, I know I wanted you, I want to be mindful of your time, and I know it's getting up there. I want to ask, is there anything else you'd like to cover or talk about before we close for today?
Stay inspired, folks. Stay empowered. We're
Mm,
going through a big world transformation. We ain't going to change that. It's
no.
necessary. We're having to see what needs to be fixed so we can fix it. Stay inspired. Meditate. Have faith. Believe. And yeah, we're going to go through ups and downs and cycles. There's going to be days when you're depressed and days when you're empowered. That's just life. Uh, but we can always upgrade internally, spiritually, mentally, and by techniques such as deciding and practicing that no matter what we go through, we can learn something good. We can benefit rather than,
Oh,
oh man, life's picking on me again. You believe that, you'll see it forever. You see empowerment, you
mm.
believe in empowerment, you'll see it forever. Set your goals high on your own personal growth, power, connections with guides, what you can do. And if you don't have something figured out right now, don't worry. A lot of times we don't have it figured out until we get to that point in life. Be
True.
kind and gentle to yourself. Pat yourself on the back. Love yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. That's not selfish. It's smart.
I love that. I love that. Well, Gary, I thank you so much. This has been
Thank you.
absolutely amazing. This has been so much fun, and you have such a beautiful energy about you that really is there helping so many people lifting themselves up because there's so many people that are feeling stuck right now, especially and not
Been there, done that
sure.
one.
And it's knowing you can get out, but you're like this bright beam that helps people go, yes, you can. Yes, you can. And you can do it in a fun way without being
You
like
can.
trudging through the trenches. I have to do this. It can be fun. It can be
It
exciting.
can. And I had to learn it just like everybody. I went through so much anxiety and depression and fear and doubt and, you know, knowing my whole life of playing music that I ain't never going to get a record deal. I'm really stuck in a small little bar and club, but I enjoyed it, you know. Uh,
And that's the thing. Sometimes people have, once you get to a point where you're like, okay, I might not be the lead singer in a band, but I can still do music. I can
oh yeah.
still enjoy it. And to
What
find
blew
that
my
happiness.
mind What blew my mind musically is I taught myself piano in 1980. I got off the road. I had a piano. I had no roommates. I started playing lead guitar in a couple country bands, making a ton of money. Dance
Uh,
halls in those days. In fact, a girlfriend said, "Quit traveling on the road." start playing these old country bands around here. They're making all the money, and they were. And I
Wow.
started making a ton of money in 19, well, for me, enough to pay my rent and bills without having to sweat. And I spent 4 years practicing piano, 12, 13 hours every day, patting myself on the back about every hour or two so I wouldn't go crazy, thinking that, well, I'm going to start at 33, and by the time I'm 36, I'm going to be a professional piano player. No way. No way. I did it. You can do it. You
I
can do
love
it.
it. I love it. You know, and it's really it's belief in yourself and belief in what you have out there and belief in going, this life can be amazing if you want to make it that way, if you're focusing on it. And that's one of the things you help people focus on, keeping the life amazing, having fun with it. And yeah, we're not victims. We are the ones in charge.
Amen, sister.
Well, Gary, thank you so much. And I know I want to get you out of here. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your time, and just who you are and all you have to offer. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you so much. And
You
I
too,
also
girl.
thank you. And I also want to let people know, make sure to watch the next episodes of Edge Talk Radio. It's on the first and third Wednesdays of the month at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you've missed any past episodes, no worries. You can catch up on it on pretty much a lot of the downloadable podcasts out
Mhm.
there, and also on either my YouTube channel or Edge Magazine's YouTube channel, so you can watch any of the reruns. And then I want to thank all of you for listening, expanding, and amplifying our universe together. Thank you all and have an absolutely amazing day.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you.